Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I'm doing a side-by-side comparison of two Skin1004 Centella favorites. Madagascar Centella Air-Fit Suncream Light SPF 30 PA++++ and Madagascar Centella Air-Fit Suncream Plus SPF 50 plus PA++++. You might think higher SPF always wins, right? But after long time use, I usually reach for the SPF 30 and I'll explain you why. Texture, spreadability, white cast, irritation and how they wear under makeup. So 2 months ago, I posted this video where I spoke about why I'm switching from chemical to mineral sunscreens because I've started to notice some hyperpigmentation developing on my temples. And I mentioned these two briefly, but in today's video, I'm dedicating the full video to them. One of these feels lighter and blends into makeup more naturally, while the other is richer and much more soothing. I'll break down my full experience, compare the ingredient list, and explain why SPF 30 sometimes stings, while SPF 50 is much more calming and soothing, along with many other differences on finish and feel. So let's get into it. So both of these are mineral physical sunscreen. They both use zinc oxide as sun filters, but in case of SPF 50, they also use titanium dioxide. They are from the Air-Fit line, which means their marketing focuses on a lighter feel, breathable texture, and both of them have Centella Asiatica extract and some other botanical ingredients. So now let me begin share my experience with SPF 30. It spreads more easily, feels lighter, which is great when I need something I can reapply or want minimal feel. It also feels very comfortable on the skin, and it has a slight sheen, as you can see. Now at first it may look like it would leave my face looking all white, but it actually comes out to be a lot better. It leaves white cast but not as much. On first application, yes, there is a slight cast, especially visible around corners of my mouth and under the eyes, but it dissipates over time. Now the trouble times that I've had with the sunscreen, when I've just shaved and I use it right after, it kind of stings on my face, while with SPF 50 I haven't experienced this at all. Also, if you see, it settles into fine lines around eyes, around mouth, when I laugh, etc. After an hour or two, I often need to rub or blend a little to smooth out those settled bits. Talking about the white cast, it's lesser than SPF 50 plus for sure. It's more manageable. If you have beard or hair areas, this does settle into them, but not so much. With a little touch up, it can work. And makeup on top looks more natural, less brightening or light reflection that feels off on my skin tone. Now let me take you through my experience using SPF 50. The texture here is noticeably thicker. The tint helps a little in neutralizing some of the white cast, but doesn't eliminate it, because thick mineral formulas tend to be prone to more cast. In sensitive times, as I mentioned, it feels more calming and soothing. It does not sting at all, which is a big plus. I feel it does give more of a white cast, particularly in areas with facial hair or where skin is textured or maybe more darker. That area starts to look slightly ashy. I often need to wipe or blend those spots. Under makeup, I feel since it's lighter and leaves more of a white cast, the finish is brighter, more reflecting. The foundation looks lighter than with SPF 30. One more thing, it does have a more matte finish than the SPF 30, as you can see here on the screen. Now both of these belong to the same line of sunscreen from the brand, Skin1004. So I started to wonder why SPF 30 stings, after I shave and I apply sunscreen, and why not SPF 50? And here are the differences in the formulation that might be creating those differences in application and feel. The SPF 30 uses zinc oxide as the main sun filter, while SPF 50 uses zinc oxide along with titanium dioxide. SPF 30 contains Centella Asiatica extract, but in a smaller amount as compared to this one, around 29,400 parts per million. On the other hand, SPF 50 has a much richer concentration. If you see the ingredient list, Centella Asiatica is the first ingredient, making up over 35% of the formula. Also, SPF 50 has more soothing ingredients than the SPF 30. So naturally, the SPF 50 plus has stronger soothing and calming properties compared to SPF 30. The SPF 30 feels light and thin with the formulation that has higher water content, so it spreads easily, but also it sits more directly on the skin. This means the mineral particles like zinc oxide make more direct contact, and there is less of a protective cushion over sensitive areas, which can sometimes lead to stinging or irritation, especially after shaving. In contrast, the SPF 50 plus feels richer and creamier. It has less water and more oils and emollients, giving it a smoother, more cushioned feel on the skin. This creamier texture helps it feel more soothing and protective, reducing the likelihood of irritation. Also, if you compare the ingredients of these two sunscreens, you will see SPF 50 has more calming, soothing ingredients as compared to SPF 30, which also might help buffer irritation. The SPF 30 barely has any noticeable fragrance. There is a very faint scent, and looking at the ingredient list, it only contains a tiny amount of perfuming agents, for example, T-butyl alcohol and Asiaticosoid perfuming agent. So overall, it's minimal. But the SPF 50 Plus, on the other hand, contains several fragrance components, about 4 of them, including floral and essential oils. You can actually smell it when applying. The scent is more pronounced compared to the SPF 30. So for anyone sensitive or allergic to fragrance, this is something to keep in mind. But having said that, even when I have sensitive skin, the fragrance in this sunscreen did not irritate my skin at all. In fact, it felt more soothing and calming on my skin than the SPF 30, even after shaving or on sensitive areas. Also, the thickness tint in SPF 50 Plus may cause more occlusion in hairy, textured areas, which may trap particles or emphasize white cast, making you more aware of it. Whereas SPF 30, it also has white cast, but it is more lightweight, it spreads more thinly, and there is less buildup. Now, the sting or the irritation that happens after using SPF 30 over a freshly shaved face might come from a combination of factors. The lighter, thinner layers allows the mineral filters to sit more directly on the skin, number 1, and there is less buffering from the soothing botanicals, that's number 2. And this reduced protective cushion makes sensitive areas more prone to stinging, especially after shaving. So now you know a lot of things about these two sunscreens, the pros and the cons, especially the white cast, the irritation. So what can you do about it? If you have this, you're using it right after shaving, wait for your skin to dry down completely and then go for it. Even better if you use a moisturizer first to buffer the irritation and then use this on top. Now for areas around eyes, fine lines where these two products usually settle, I would suggest dab these products over those areas instead of rubbing it back and forth, and try to keep the layers thin on those areas. Next, if you're going to do your makeup on top, allow for the sunscreen to set completely. Give it maybe a good 5 minutes before you go ahead with your foundation. And yes, the last one goes for any and every skincare product that you try. Not just these, do patch test before you apply it on your full face. Now, as I mentioned that I am reaching out mostly for these, but I reach out for this as well. So how do I choose? If my skin is normal, not freshly shaved, and I want comfort, lightweight feel, and lower white cast, I go for SPF 30. If I've just shaved or just want more soothing barrier protection, or if I will be outdoors for a long time, I lean toward SPF 50 Plus, even though I have to manage more white cast. If I wear makeup, depending on foundation, color, etc., SPF 30 tends to integrate more naturally. As you can see, SPF 50 Plus might require color adjustments or deeper blending. Now, if you're sensitive, your skin reacts to every other product. My advice is to keep both of these handy so you can choose based on your skin's current state. And that's all for today's review. Let me know what you think about it. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments. I will answer them. And that's all for today's video. I'll see you all in my next video. Until then, stay tuned, stay beautiful.